Welcome everyone to SOLIDWORKS Delivery Day. Jesse, welcome back. It's nice to see you, my friend.
I know, it's been a while.
Yeah, how about this? Look at us. We made this by ourselves. I'm so proud of us. Look at this set. I hope you guys are admiring it.
Yeah.
If you're watching, this is also an audio podcast, so we got to get really used to that.
Should we just spend the whole time describing the set to the folk who are just listening?
Yeah, so if you're on Spotify, wherever you get your podcast, wherever we happen to upload this, that is not determined yet.
Yes.
We have a whole set here. If you're a SOLIDWORKS nerd, we have SOLIDWORKS cubes. We have a nice delivery day box back there, Tamagotchi. If you guys watch 3D Experience World, you probably remember that. We got some...
And
a fern. Got some, of course, real plants. We have some action figures. We have Hugh. Hugh's back.
He's back.
What's up, Hugh?
Yeah.
He made it back from Houston, of course. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to be here. Delivery day.
Why are we doing this?
I don't know. I was couldn't even tell me.
All right. So I will tell you, Jesse, and I will tell everyone that's listening, watching, whatever you're doing, Delivery Day. So Delivery Day is a brand new show. This is the first episode ever. Delivery Day, fresh features, spring. It's bringing some new things, bringing some new flowers, and it's bringing some new features. So
new flowers, new features.
Yeah. Like you think about like SOLIDWORKS 1995, which is in the background. You think about SOLIDWORKS even like 2021, right? We didn't really have new features coming out with each service pack, as we used to call it.
Yeah.
Now we're in this phase of functional deliveries where we're improving the software, we're enhancing it, but part of that is also delivering new stuff. And we have a lot of new stuff. Like
we have a lot of new stuff.
FD01, so when you hear us say FD, it means functional delivery. FD01 of the 2025 release was jam-packed. Like we had a lot of stuff. I was actually saying to you earlier that it's almost as if FD01 was like a sort of a normal, what we would think of as like a normal sort of general major release. Like when we would do like what's new SOLIDWORKS 2022 on SOLIDWORKS Live, right? It feels like we have almost like the same amount of features there.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we did a bit of a sprint to do some content for it, and it felt like a what's new almost. It was like, wow, this is a ton of stuff. How do we pack all this in? And obviously we had to trim some stuff out just to fit some stuff in.
Yeah. So those of you watching, you see the set back here. Yeah, this is not just going to be a new feature sort of demo reel. Of course, we'll get to all the new features. We'll give you context. It won't just be like a little snippet on the bottom, little text snippet of what it does. And Jesse and I are just going to let you guys watch it. We're going to give our actual impressions of the features, but also once again, we'll have fun. We have a few segments. Yeah, we always have fun, but we have a few segments in here. It's not your typical SOLIDWORKS Live. So let's get started with the first one, right?
Do it.
So the first segment that we have that's new, we have a lot of you out there that are making content. Of course, Jesse and I, we make a lot of the demos for you guys to learn from, but we have a lot of people out there that are making content using SOLIDWORKS and making much bigger projects. So the first segment is the social shout out of the show, the 60-second social shout out. So today, we have someone who has never been on SOLIDWORKS Live somehow, never been on SOLIDWORKS Live Design, Zach from Jerry Rig Everything.
Yep.
So I was asking Matt Clegg, because Matt Clegg runs the influencer program where he works with the Hacksmith, Jeremy Fielding, and many others. I said, what's like one of your favorite videos that's come out recently? And he mentioned this one. And this is not, Jesse, I don't know if you've seen this video.
I've only seen bits and pieces of it.
So this is not a single video. And what you're seeing right now is Zach built an underground bunker using, or at least he designed it using the Maker edition of SOLIDWORKS. So basically, if you're watching this, if you've never seen it before, this is tubing underground. So it's a very large set of tubing, puts it underground. Apparently he said, and I'll trust his word for it, I guess, because I don't know about you guys, so let us know in the chat if you built an underground bunker. Apparently, if you get like 6 feet or more underground, you get to the point where like this temperature, at least where he lives, and maybe
below the frost.
Yeah,
and
it's like,
that makes sense.
It's like 60 degrees. So it's kind of a persistent year-round temperature. So he was saying that because of that, he wanted to get far enough underground to be able to actually have it be inhabitable. That was the first video. So you saw like, it's kind of crazy. There's going to be an enhancement you guys will see later where we show like large displacements and how we handle those in SOLIDWORKS as of FD01 now. That's definitely an assembly that would apply to.
Yeah, that is an ambitious project.
Yeah, but it's crazy. Like you guys saw these sort of you saw the explode and you saw it gonna come back together, right? Explode, collapse. It wasn't that many parts. It was actually like, it was probably what, 8 parts
Yeah.
that came back together. Of course, 2 of those parts are very large.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but no, if you go to Jerry Rig Everything on YouTube, you'll be able to see the full video. We'll have to do better at 60 seconds.
Yeah, that was definitely not 60 seconds. We need the timer.
Yeah. But anyway, shout out to Zach. We need you at 3D Experience World soon. Need you on Live Design soon.
I agree.
But we are happy to feature you and happy you're part of the SOLIDWORKS family. So, Jesse, this is fresh features on delivery day. Do you want to get some enhancements?
Let's see 'em.
Nice. All right, so let's play the first one. So our handy iPad here. So this first one here is simplified user interface. What were your first thoughts when you saw this as a longtime SOLIDWORKS user?
Well, at first, obviously, we're really good at customizing the software. So I was like, okay, I don't really know that I see the benefit. But then when I thought about it, it makes a lot of sense, right? And I think it's one of those things that you're going to have to rely on the experienced people to let the younger people know about it, because they may not know. If you're brand new to it, you may not even know that that's there. So having an experienced colleague or something tell you about it could really help out. I think it's a cool idea.
It is neat. I mean, the first time I looked at it, I thought, I'll be honest with you guys. I usually use the S key for pretty much everything. But again, I use the S key because, like, especially if a lot of us that work at SOLIDWORKS, a lot of you working out there who use it for years, like I've taught like so many training courses on SOLIDWORKS. I'm not trying to brag, flex, but you guys know it's like you just press the S key. As long as you know what the term is that you're looking for, just start typing and you have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, your hands are always near the keyboard, so just do that. But for a lot of new users, that's really not a thing.
Yeah.
You don't know the names of like if I use a new program, I don't know the names of the commands.
Right.
So
and
yeah,
to be fair, like not a lot of softwares have a search functionality. You can search the help file, but
true.
not a lot of them you can actually search for functions and then initiate the tool right there. So that's kind of a unique thing that we have, and I do love to work that way. But yeah, simplified interface is really cool. I do think coming into a CAD software, it's really easy to get totally overwhelmed if it's your first foray. So having something where you can start off with just the basics, and obviously SOLIDWORKS is really good about interface stuff in general. It's one of the things that I love about SOLIDWORKS the most. So giving somebody a clean start to get them excited about here are just the tools, just the basics that you'll need. It's a cool idea. I like it. I've come around to it.
If you're watching or listening to this now live, or basically right when it came out, if you watch on Friday, the next day after this comes out, I'm actually doing a live design episode all about workspace customization in SOLIDWORKS, like a deep dive, which is the theme of this season of live design.
I have some videos coming up that I have planned. I haven't recorded anything yet that have some stuff in there about that too. So I'm going to be curious to see what you come up with and see if it's the same stuff.
Yeah, I will say for new users, and if you're watching or listening to us and you're a new user, welcome. I will say one thing I would recommend is if you set it up, you go to View Workspace, Basic Interface, I believe is the term. You guys see it on the screen, so of course in our demo. But I will say I would recommend also trying in tandem the command predictor, which is new, not as of FD01, but as of 2025.
Yeah.
So the command predictor basically is more contextual. Basic modeling tools, basic assembly tools, basic drawing tools. It will give you the sort of most used or most frequented tools within that given mode for that file type. But the command predictor is a bit more dynamic in terms of kind of reading through, what you've done already and then suggesting things. And
yeah, that's a really great use case actually for the predictor new users, because it might suggest a tool that lots of other people are using that's like, oh, I guess I should be using that in that case. I didn't even think about it that way. That's a great point.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on to the next one here. So what do we got? Ooh, automatic drawing generation. What do you think?
I think this is a crazy idea, and I can't believe that it actually works.
Yeah, this is also, I think one thing that came to mind with this, and I think we were talking to one of our teammates, Mike Sandy, and I actually, and at World, I remember because we showcased this at World, of course. And one thing I remember talking with people about in the corridor is that, and you can see it kind of makes like a standard, four view drawing. You can see there's like projected views and everything. Kind of reminds me of predefined views in a way.
Yeah.
If you guys don't know, if you save a drawing with predefined views, you can kind of load the model in. And the views kind of retain the set scale, whatever it is, if it's the sheet scale or whatever the view scale is. Whether it's a shaded view, shaded with edges, standard, hidden lines removed. And yeah, you can kind of almost shortcut drawings a little bit if those are the types of drawings where you're doing like sort of same view layout, kind of time and time again. Kind of reminds me of that a little bit. I would also say that one thing it reminds me of in a way as well is um, detailing mode within drawings. So these modes that come out or these new features that come out where it's like this could be useful for someone, but this is definitely not going to be the finished state of this tool.
Yeah.
Like I feel very, I don't even know anything in that regard, but I can say I'm thinking you probably agree. Like this is not going to be the end for
Phase one.
Yeah, this is the initial release.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I love stuff
Yeah.
like this. You and I chat about AI a lot. But I see tools like this as such a good chance to do stuff for the user that they're not adding any value, right? Let the designer add value where you add value. There is an art to creating beautiful drawings that are easy to read. All the stuff up front is not any of that, right? So get all of the stuff that's just repetitious work out of the way for you. And then you can spend your time as the designer focusing on the places you actually add value. And I feel like this is a perfect example of that.
It really is. And I think within a demo, this is one of the things we tried to illustrate. You see someone adding another sheet, adding another table,
Yep.
or adding a table within. So it's not to say that you can't customize it after the fact.
Yep.
And this is something I've heard from a lot of users. I'm sure you have as well. Like a lot of you guys say, if you can just get me like, double-digit percentage of the way there and whatever I'm doing, that's a value add.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be 100%. You don't have to hit a home run every single time, but just get me. And I feel this way about a lot of AI tools I use.
Yep.
That we all
Do the work I
use.
don't
Yeah,
have to do.
exactly.
Yep.
All right, so this next one, display state bomb filtering. This one, I would say, as someone that has trained on SOLIDWORKS, as someone who's used it for a long time, I really love this enhancement. The reason why is because if you're purely, if you're purely making a configuration for a customized, say, bill of materials, configurations are pretty weighty. Display states are not.
Yep.
So this is definitely a good tool if you're looking to do something like that.
Yeah, I agree. And I like tools like this that add value elsewhere too, because it makes a display state even more worth doing. Right. Like you've got the extra benefit of using a display state in the first place, where when you bring it to a drawing, now you can take advantage of it for the bomb. I do really like that as well. And Tracy, we had Tracy Wittig on the show, who did a great session.
Yeah.
On display states, configurations, all sorts of cool stuff, which is up on the SOLIDWORKS channel.
Yeah,
So you should go check that out if you haven't seen it, because it's fantastic.
It's day 2. And day 2, I was just mentioning to our producer, Ian, we were in the car going to Home Depot, getting some stuff for the set. And day 2, it's labeled as the R&D kind of general session or R&D themed day of world. But it's definitely getting many more views kind of as we
It's a heavy
go.
hitter.
Yeah, like a lot of times, a lot of times you probably see this on other YouTube videos. You kind of have a runway. It's like the first week, first 2 weeks, you have like the most views, most attention. But a lot of people are going back to that one.
Yeah.
And it could be, because of that great tech session.
I would suspect so.
Yeah.
I was there for it. So.
Yeah. You're like, I was front row to that. All right. So this next one, Flattened BOM. So this continues kind of the drawing enhancements. So Flattened BOM, it's basically, if you're listening, you're not watching, I'll kind of narrate it a bit here. If you look in the bill of materials, you can see there's an extra mode there in FD01 where it's flattened. So basically what it will do is it will show you your, say you have like sub-assembly components. It'll show you the direct quantity instead of saying like, hey, within this assembly, this sub-assembly, there's X. Within that sub-assembly, it'll say, okay, no, within the bill of materials for the entire kind of top level, this is the total quantity of that component.
This is kind of one of those tools. I feel like there are a lot of tools fall into this category where it's something that you may have tried before or may have never used, but then by the time you get to it and you need it and there, it's like, yes, because it saves you so much time of having to do things manually. And with, in case of a bomb, you do things manually, you break all of your links, and now you've got to maintain that yourself. So I love the little things that they're adding like that just make your life easier if you do end up needing it. Or obviously people who need it immediately will be super excited about it.
One area that gets me excited too when we sort of first learned about these enhancements is these sort of areas, I guess I would say, where I had processed sort of enhancement requests for them before from you guys, from customers.
Yeah.
That's definitely one of them. That one came up a lot. And another one that came up a lot is this one right here. So not directly family tables. Like we weren't saying, I need a family table, but like the
Not by
spirit,
name.
not by name, but like the functionality behind it. I think a lot of you,
Yeah.
I feel like when we showed this a world, people were very happy about it.
Yeah, I've been asked for this a bunch of times.
Yeah. So if you could just like talk us through like what exactly is happening here.
Yeah, well, obviously you take advantage of configurations in SolidWorks, right? So that's one of the main benefits with your SolidWorks storing all of that data. You can store a whole bunch of different versions of the same thing in one part file, right? So you can extract that information all over the place. This is a new way that you can do it and just build that table out of here's all the versions that I've got of this thing all in one place. You can see it in one table, and you make it in one click essentially.
Yeah, it's nice. I mean, you can see in the demo, one thing we tried to make sure to illustrate is that it shows, configuration specific properties,
Yeah,
which
great
was
point.
really important. So now this next one is sheet metal. This is my demo, so I'm really excited to showcase this. So this one I was really happy to so we use the Proteus data set for each. So Proteus Motion, you guys probably saw them at World.
Yep.
We probably saw them in all of our launch materials for 2025. So this one I took from the Proteus, and you can kind of see with this edge flange. So essentially what it's doing with edge flange now, you can have the edge flange extend distance-wise up to a specific vertex. But what you can also do is you can select multiple edges at the same time. So firstly, I kind of did that first selection, established a distance via a vertex, but then basically picked a bunch of other edges, and it still maintained that same kind of parametric linkage to the initial distance.
Yeah, super cool.
Yeah, which I think is really, really nice. I would say overall, this is one of those things where I would just say look out for it. This isn't necessarily, at least as I perceive, let me know or let us know otherwise, but this isn't one of those where I'm like, oh yeah, everyone's gonna be using this all the time. But still, it's another option you have,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and it's a nice one, especially if you've got all of your bend information dialed in. In SolidWorks, you can get that bounding box that it needs to fit into this certain space, and you can define that super easy. And then if it ever changes, you're set. It's an end condition. It updates.
Yeah. So there's another one here using the same file. So this one I really like. Essentially, what this is showing, and it's kind of one of those areas where in talking about the thing, even if it's just an enhancement to the thing, you're reminding people of it, and that's what I appreciate. So namely, an enhancement to library features. So library features, for those of you who don't know, essentially what you're doing is you are cataloging or making a library of different features. You can drag and drop, say, cuts or bosses. Forming tools are another form of what I would say are library features for sheet metal. You're kind of drag and dropping them into your part file. And it's taking the dimensions, it's taking the relations, and it's adding them to that new part file. So you're not having to redefine it, or if it's a specific hole pattern, you're not having to, open yourself up to error. So I really like the idea that we're kind of reinforcing library features as a whole by talking about this. The enhancement, however, in FD01 is that if you're doing any sort of model-based definition, if you add dim expert dimensions, which is pretty much our name for model-based definition, model-based definition dimensions. Wow, that was a lot to say. It's the ability to basically store those. So as you're seeing us play it back, essentially what it is when you add that library feature in, it's just a checkbox. So you can say include MBD dimensions, like I show here. And when you drag and drop it back in, that definition will be back in, which is kind of cool because you have, like in this example, I showed very simple, bilateral tolerance, and you can also see the hole size. So
yeah, that's nice. Time saver on top of a time saver.
Yeah, pretty much. This is also one. Let us know. You can see kind of selection of reference, which is kind of cool. But let us know in the chat or wherever you're watching, if this is something with library features where you'd like to maybe have a deeper dive on, and say a live design episode. This one, I was talking about the bunker earlier. These are power plants. But I don't know. It's interesting. When I was making this, it was almost hard for me to get this to happen because I'm very slow with everything.
And I wasn't gonna say anything.
No, I want my friends make fun of me all the time. I'm very slow. I'm very deliberate. I don't make a lot of mistakes, but I'm not gonna win any race.
Yeah, much more erratic. I'm flailing all over the place, so
Yeah.
maybe this will come in handy
So
for me.
so this was not a good one for me to like spend time on. To try to try to like. But I have heard of people, like the model flies out in space. Essentially, as you're saying, it's pretty obvious. This isn't one that is like hard to demonstrate, but essentially, if you're kind of jerky with the mouse, it does some thinking in the background where it's saying, okay, proportionate to the way the person moved this mouse. I don't know what the algorithm is. You'd have to ask a developer here, but proportionate to the way they move the mouse, the speed at which they move the mouse, the jerkiness, is that a term? I don't know.
It is now.
It is now. Yep, introducing an to your lexicon here on Delivery Day. It'll give you a little
So
message.
I feel like normally if I do have this happen, and to be fair, I don't have this have it happen a lot either, but I sense that when I do, I have it constrained maybe in a plane or something like that. Is that the case with this, where you've got it maybe set to plane where you
Yeah.
drag it and then it's already constrained in 3D space, but you're dragging in a different direction and then suddenly it's going somewhere where you don't expect? Is that
That's exactly
okay?
it. Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, you should have done this one.
Yeah, I guess so.
Feeling past regret.
Right.
But yeah, so look out for that.
Yeah.
If you're not watching right now, it just shows up in the bottom right. It says, "Hey, there's been a large displacement. Would you like to undo?" You just press Control Z or just go quick.
Yeah, that's nice because in the past you'd have to go try to zoom to fit and then find where it went in space and then bring it back or undo it or something like that, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. Whew. And we're not even done. We're not even done. All right, so we're gonna be right back after a short 60-second commercial break.
It's a real podcast.
It's a real podcast. Yeah. Brought to you by our sponsors. Let's take a look.
This episode of SolidWorks Delivery Day is brought to you in part by SolidWorks for Makers. SolidWorks for Makers provides full functionality CAD tools for personal use for just $48 USD a year or $15 USD per month. It's perfect for makers, hobbyists, and DIY enthusiasts who generate less than $2,000 USD annually from their projects. Choose from 2 comprehensive design packages that offer everything you need for your non-commercial projects. Enjoy the power and precision of SolidWorks for personal use.
Well, we're back and we have a gift.
Yeah,
Surprise.
sorry, we're laughing because we had a miscommunication, as we often do.
That's very often.
At least we find it funny.
Yeah.
It'll never get any better. Yeah, I don't know what this is. Producer Ian gave us a box.
He did.
No, we know what this is. This is another one of our fun segments. You're probably thinking the commercial break, not very fun. Oh, actually, it was fun, given what we showed you. But this is fun. So pop the top prop of the day. So what this is, you can see, those of you who are watching in the background, I kind of narrated for those of you who are not. We have a lot of cool stuff here on this set. We tried to make it immersive. For those of you who have been with us for a while, or even with us for a little bit, and just really enjoy SolidWorks, we try to really make you feel that. But this segment right here, pop the top prop of the day, we don't know, Jesse and I, this is not a bit, we don't know what's in this box. We've been told there are 2 items, so the one of us does not feel left out.
I don't know where they came from.
No, I don't know where it came from either. So right now, we should say it seems like we're in a bunker of our own. We're at the Boston campus, which is actually in Waltham, Massachusetts. A lot of SolidWorks stuff here that you can steal.
Yeah.
So our producer Ian put some stuff in here, and we're gonna see what it is. I'm gonna go first.
Be my guest.
All right, let's see.
This is a light.
All right, I've been blinded by the light. I actually didn't see what was in there.
Sure he did.
Oh, it's a light.
Sure he did.
No, it's not a light. Okay, this is some kind of ball.
It is. Correct
Um,
so far.
feels 3D printed.
Yeah. This is a good choice for you.
Ah, 3D printed baseball. I have a baseball in my background at home.
You do.
Yeah, I like that.
That's pretty cool.
All right, this is great. I'm gonna throw it at you guys catch. I'll throw it at our producer Ian. All right,
Yeah,
Jesse,
got it.
your turn.
All right, my turn.
Yeah, close your eyes.
Do I have to close my eyes? I can't see. All
Whatever.
right, here we go.
I don't
Here we
know.
go. Here we go.
It's just
It's covered. Well, this is cool. It's an octopus. I'm not gonna count him. I'm assuming it's an octopus. This always blows my mind. So I have a 3D printer at home.
yeah.
Do you? It always blows my mind that you can print things in assembly like that.
That is really neat.
I mean, this isn't new technology, but it still blows my mind every time I see one. I think that is the coolest thing.
Yeah, there's also some bumpiness on the head.
There is, yeah, surface
neat.
finish isn't the best. We'll have to talk to the lab.
It seems
There wasn't anybody in the lab when we walked over earlier. They must have been on break.
no one to complain to.
Yeah,
But still,
that's neat. I like it.
yep,
I'm gonna take it.
very cool.
I'll have to find out who's in.
Awesome. Well, that was the pop to top prop of the day.
I liked it. That was fun. I love the light in here. That was amusing.
Are you ready for some more fresh features?
I'm so ready.
This is a kind of a trippy enhancement. Deformable components.
This took me quite a while to figure out what was even going on here, and I'm still not totally convinced that I understand it, but I think I've got it now.
Yeah. Well, that's why this is a podcast.
I mean,
And definitely edit that part out.
yes.
Definitely not doing it. No, it's actually, so you're seeing here, or what we're seeing right now is we're seeing a lot of course, we're within SOLIDWORKS, but we're also seeing the add-in for the platform.
Right.
So deformable components, essentially, and what we're seeing in this example is a USB cable within the Proteus. So you can give different representations of the same component, almost like configurations in a way, but the components can be sort of massively simplified.
Yeah.
So you think of them like in drawings. What's the name of the, like when you have like is it like the broken view? Oh man,
Yeah,
Jim, kill me.
view.
Broken view.
Yeah.
Okay. I was thinking zigzag,
Put a
but like the zigzags or the
Like we saw at the beginning there, the break view that was there.
yeah. So
Yeah.
break view. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I was like, it's not broken. Yeah. So break view. And within the platform, these are actually connected. So these two different components, these two different representations.
Yeah, so you've got physically two different geometry because this is you've got a component that can be, messed around with. Right? It's not always the same as a chord, right? It could be all different shapes. You might need to represent it in its shape or in its simplified state, but in reality, they're the same EIN number, and that needs to be accounted for somewhere, right? And that's what we're doing here.
That also would not be something that would be like within a configuration. Like that would be
Right.
if you're doing some sort of cabling or like power cord or something like that. That's not necessarily something within a configuration that you're going to be able to, or necessarily would want to even
Yeah.
have sort of straightened out.
Yeah.
Which I suppose is important in terms of like wire length. Like if you're actually doing cabling
Yep.
or wiring.
Yeah,
or,
routing.
yeah, we have routing. Like we have SOLIDWORKS routing, so you can use that.
Yeah, so digital paper trail.
Yeah,
Am I right in saying that?
I think so. Well, that's the long and the short of it. I feel like
Yeah.
that was no pun intended.
I think that pun was intended.
Yeah, I just wanted to see what you would do. Okay, so next one.
Yeah, I like it. It's cool.
Streamline design creation. Sounds pretty grand.
It does.
Those of you who have used or who use SOLIDWORKS PDM, I know many of you are out there. You probably are familiar with the functionality where, those of us are not using SOLIDWORKS PDM. Essentially, we can go to File, New, and we have our part template, our assembly template, our drawing template. But really, you're just making something new, and then you're in modeling space or you're in sheet space for a drawing. Essentially, what you can do within SOLIDWORKS PDM, and now if you're using the platform, if you're storing your stuff on the cloud, it can ask you other questions that can connect to properties. So within PDM, we call them templates. Here, what you can do is, basically every time you make a new part or assembly, like this is just an example with parts, you can do it with assemblies as well or drawings. It will ask you just different questions or for different inputs, and they can be drop downs, they can be free form inputs that will kind of fill in those different areas for you.
Yeah, that's nice. And you can have a couple different ones, right, too. So it's where you would have to have a whole bunch of different templates to account for maybe some of these variables. You can just set it once as you go.
Yeah, I like this. It kind of reminds me in a way. I feel like for those of us who have used SOLIDWORKS for a while, or maybe just at your company, you've maybe seen this. We have the custom property kind of tab builder, and then that kind of informs what you see on the task pane at times on the right-hand side, where basically it's asking you, in not so much a tabular way necessarily, but just a rundown of the properties that matter with different drop downs, once again, different freeform fields.
Yeah.
How would you like to fill in this property? Like yes or no boxes, Boolean values.
Yeah, it's a good analogy.
Yeah. Or the other thing I was thinking is, and I mentioned this to our VAR partners, who many of you probably talk to, many of you probably are actually watching the show, that this is also a way to get data input and get sort of a part, almost like a treehouse, where you're kind of designing your structure a little bit, before you actually have to model anything.
I love Treehouse. That was a great.
I know people always say,
Yeah.
let us know in the chat. Treehouse was like a beloved product. I think people were like, yeah, please continue to add to it. We still have it.
Yeah.
So check that out. I mean,
Yeah, we've got the relations on the platform that gives you a similar view now too, which I like.
Yeah, it's reminiscent for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so this next one here, what do we got? Design iterations. This is a big one.
Yeah, this is an interesting one, and this has been available kind of early access, so some people may have played with it a little bit, but yeah, it's kind of an interesting one too because you think of revisions or something, but not everything needs to be handled by a full revision, or you don't want to track all of that, all of those things, right? So these are kind of a micro version of that where you can almost like a save point. I kind of think of it that way, like a save point that's now available, so you can set those revisions. And even cooler, we were testing it, that goes with the file. So you send it to somebody else and they can read those iterations and kind of go back to that save point. So that's kind of cool. And yeah, you can see those available and you can just kind of step it back. I can see myself using that because sometimes there are things that I might want to just try or test that I don't necessarily want to commit to a revision or something like that, but you want to kind of build in that step back point, and that's a great way to do it.
Yeah, it is. It's somewhat reminiscent in a way, again, this is all in a way data management in the simplest form of saying it. It kind of does remind me of the way PDM has versions, but in some way, at least in terms of nomenclature, as well as sort of general visibility of what you're seeing within the interface, it feels a little less committal.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah, it is kind of simplified from that.
Yeah, but you're not of course, if you're not using any sort of PDM, whether it's on-premise or cloud, whatever, it's definitely way better than just saving out different copies of files.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
just all within a container.
Yep.
Within that object. This one is definitely one of my favorite features of SOLIDWORKS that we've now brought to the platform, being able to reload from the server. I don't know about you guys, but whenever I'm using software that does not have file reload in some way, I feel like it's kind of missing.
Yeah.
It's like instant enhancement request.
Reload from server. So obviously the reload from server has been there. It's just, kind of combined in the interface in this case. But that's something that I kind of overlooked, maybe not overlooked, but I maybe missed the convenience of having that sort of in the same way as the iterations. I will often rely on that. So I'll go down some crazy modeling path, knowing that I can say, nope, don't like it, reload from server, and boink, I'm right back to where I started from. So it's kind of nice having that kind of like fallback point, right? Like I can save it to the cloud, reload from server, and get right back where I was. And I kind of use that as a tool.
You never make any mistakes. We're kidding.
Yeah.
All right, so this next one, Cutlass. Gotta say that really slowly. I always wind up like jumbling that.
Yeah.
Those two words together, Cutlass. So Cutlass being able to upload them to the platform, which is convenient for a number of reasons. I think for basically every customer in this instance that we've showcased for what's new, they're using the platform lately, at least in some capacity. This is very convenient because you're actually able to see the Cutlass, even if you're not in SOLIDWORKS or even using it ever.
Yeah.
So that
you can push all that information right up. More information you can get there, the better.
Yeah. So if you're using weldments, you have a Cutlass. If you save to 3D Experience, it's just a checkbox. So look out for that one there. Okay. So next one, change action stamping. Once again, one that I think PDM users are fairly used to. Once again, we're kind of porting it over to the platform. Can you talk to us a little bit about what this does?
I love this one because change action is something that I can see being a huge benefit on the platform side, right? Because it might be done by somebody who has remote access or something like that. So we've got this the ability to have this right back to the drawing, right? So when that change action when that change actually happens in the change action, right? When somebody's actually interacting with it, it will then stamp the drawing with that information and push that information back from the platform right onto the drawing. And I love that because it's a perfect use case, I think, for the platform interacting back with SOLIDWORKS, because someone who is doing the change action, they may be working from some platform view right from their workstation or even from a mobile like that showed there. And as they do that, that's actually marking the CAD information wherever the CAD information is right on the user's desktop. They see that built in right away, which is cool. I love that.
It's kind of make me think too. We haven't really done, at least our team, we haven't really done anything necessarily on live design or SolidWorks Live with title blocks in a while.
True.
That's like another, like I
Yeah,
keep
even
thinking,
the title block builder tool that was built in is totally overlooked.
oh man, I remember that.
Yeah.
Let us know if you
I don't
used
remember
that
what
before.
year that was.
Society
in the chat.
I have no idea. I don't remember. I really don't.
Seems recent, but it's probably 5 years ago at this point, maybe more.
Yeah.
Gosh.
That's another. That's just having like good content on how to make title blocks.
Yeah.
Of course, we have training content.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one that could definitely stand to be refreshed.
Yeah, and another great use case of having that set up correctly and ready to go, because that'll save you a ton of time, right? Just auto dropping information into your title block is always a good time saver.
100%. Well, it is now time for another fun segment. We've been talking a lot about new things.
Yeah.
Kind of the fresh features, of course. It's the focus of today as we explore the new FD functional delivery, FD01 of 2025. But now we're going to go backwards. You know, we just talked about the title block builder.
Yep.
We've talked about actually, you know, library features, all these other features or areas or enhancements, modes within SolidWorks that have been around for a while. But as you know, there's, you know, hundreds of pages within each What's New document. I thought it'd be kind of cool to go backwards.
Yeah.
SolidWorks been around for like, what, over 30 years now?
Yeah.
Insane?
Yeah.
All right. So,
All right, what do you got for me?
let's roll the tape. You remember this? Which year? Don't look at the bottom left.
Gosh, I don't know.
Okay, so this is SolidWorks 2017.
Okay.
I didn't even like
It is on the top of my head. I should have said it because I would have been close.
So we're looking at, this one is one I picked. We're looking at comment indicators, which I still think comments are massively underutilized within the software. But the biggest thing I remember when I used to talk to different customers, different users, you guys, is that it wasn't really easy to know at all if someone had made a comment. You know, we had a tooltip, but like who's hovering over features looking for comments? That's insane.
Right.
So what this did is it added a little sort of like post-it logo within the feature if you have it turned on within the part assembly, and it shows you if a comment has been made. This was also the release where they added the ability to, I think it was this release to add images in the comments.
Okay. Yeah, maybe.
I think.
Maybe. It was around there.
Nonetheless,
Within a year or two.
you can definitely do it now if you're exploring comments. The other thing I wanted to mention is that comments overall look very different today. Like this is dated. This is a real flashback, a real like sort of retro clip.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I was looking at that saying I don't even remember them looking like that.
No, like now you can format the typeface. I mean, so you can do bold, italicized, you can do underlined. You can also add like categories. I think in the system options, it's like high priority, medium priority, low priority. There might be others that are labeled, but you have like 5 different color coding options.
Changers, yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you have a lot of different things you could play with there.
Yeah.
But I know we're adding all this stuff to the platform and PDM, but still there's something to be said for actually being able to annotate in the model.
Yeah. Honestly, I use it for myself. Even if I'm not sharing with someone, I'll leave myself notes sometimes because if it's a complex model that I know I'm going to have to go back and make a change for something, I'll just leave myself a note like, this is what I did here. And so I remember when I get back to it.
Okay. Do you put like, Jesse, I love you?
Yeah, I do sometimes. Yeah, it's good self-talk.
Says the self-talk.
Yeah.
All right. So that was the feature flashback of the day. All right. So let's get back to some new stuff.
I like that.
Jesse, you and I worked together on this a little bit. So this new enhancement. So connect with your peers inside SolidWorks. So what does that even mean?
Yeah, really cool. So the forums are right in your pane now, just a click away, which is really cool. This is one of those changes. Obviously, the forums got moved a number of years ago, and now totally integrated right within your SolidWorks experience. So you can see in the demo, just take a screenshot. How do I do something, right? You can share the screenshot, share a model. Super convenient. Obviously, one of the best parts of SolidWorks is the user community, right? Hanging out. We just got back from World, saw most of you. So that interaction is one of the key benefits in my mind, at least, of using SolidWorks. So quick access. You can just drop right while you're designing, drop right over into your pane and interact in the forums, get a question answered, answer some questions. It's cool. I like it.
I really like the if you're not watching, you're listening, I definitely recommend looking at the demo that Jesse made for this. So that was one of the things that you and I were talking about. Like,
Yeah.
you know, what's a ideal sort of workflow? So you might be thinking, why would I want to go on forums if I'm, you know, using a CAD program? You know, why do I want to do that, interrupt my workflow? The convenience is that you can be right there within the interface, take a screenshot if you're having a problem,
Yep.
right? So you can upload models, you can upload if you wanted to. You can upload, once again, images.
Yep.
So just hit the Windows key, snipping tool. We all have it. Just grab a screenshot, paste it right in there,
Yep.
right in the task pane, pops right out. And yeah, you have access right there.
Right. Yep.
So you can get answers to your questions, which yeah, I think that's a really, really nice enhancement.
Yeah, and there's a dual benefit. Obviously, you can go searching around on the web and try to find an answer too, but when you're posting it up on the forum, somebody else who needs to know will then come across it as well. Obviously, you can search in there too, and see if you can find it, and all of that information will continue to get more and more and more accessible. So I love it. It's cool.
So everyone has that.
Yeah.
Now let's look at something else here. So sharing step files, step 242.
Mm-hmm.
So you can share it with annotations. Now this share dialog, I wanted to talk a bit about as well. So this might not be familiar to a lot of SOLIDWORKS users, right? So you made this demo. Could you talk to us a little bit about this one?
Yeah. So, the option that we're talking about here, the sharing of the 242, is not new, right? You can share a 242 and you can save out your PMI. You were talking about your, building them in. Maybe you put your dimensions in with your drag and drop there, and now you can export them. But great that format can carry all of that additional information with it. But yeah, the enhancement here is really just that share is now consolidated. So you'll see a share in every version of SOLIDWORKS, regardless of which you're using. And it's really just an interface cleanup, which is nice. I always love when they like I said before, SOLIDWORKS has a great interface and they're always constantly focusing on that. So just cleaning things up, moving things to consistent locations, so their tools that you're looking for are where you expect them to be. That's exactly what's going on here. So yeah, move option is moved into the share dialog, and the share dialog itself has been added in where it wasn't. So you've got now this option available right from within the share, which is exactly where it should be. So welcome home.
Welcome home. Yeah, sharing the PMI information is interesting, and we show kind of in that switch up there where this sort of made up persona we have here, Sam Supplier is looking at the part. The one thing I did want to mention that we don't really show because it's not really relevant necessarily to the demo of the new feature is that it isn't just sharing the information that you look at on a web page. Like you can also, like this is also a way to just download it.
Yeah.
And you have more control. Like you can pull it back if you'd like to. Say you don't want to have it accessible. It's all locked and protected, but let's say you just wanted to take it offline, you had a new version or something like that, you could upload or update the version. And yeah, it's also just, once again, it's a way to not have to do email stuff, emailing and everything, reviewing the PMI, viewing the file, as well as downloading the file, if it's for manufacturing, of course, or I guess anything else is really easy.
Yeah, definitely. And that step 242 is a huge step in the benefit of using that kind of PMI data, because you can translate that through a universal file format and send it to anybody. Obviously, open in 3D Play app here, but like you said, anybody can pop that open and get access to it. So yeah, that was a great step. Obviously not exactly what we're talking about here, but just happens to be the functionality that we're discussing.
It's funny you said pop. I just think pop the top. Pop the top proper today.
Pop the top. I'm still laughing at that light inside.
Oh yeah, you didn't do that.
Not
Why'd you make me do it? You guys just make me do it, and then Jess has to do it. All right, so this last one, this is the last one of the day. Share package. It's like care package.
Share package. Yeah, package is a cool one. So for platform users that are sharing data out with somebody who they want to send the data out and get it back again and still integrate that back into their platform data, that package is like a pack and go for platform data, right? So you've got the two of those different options. Obviously, just a pack and go is a pack and go as we've always known it. The package, as you can see, you can kind of tune this and set this up. So somebody who is using another desktop SOLIDWORKS, they can get that package, they can install, a little reader for it, they can track that information for you, ship it right back to you, and you can read it right back in, which is pretty cool. Again, that option is moved right to the share dialog as well, so it's really just, the share is packed with all of the stuff that you would really need at this point.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it has awareness of the version information. Some of you just like share back.
Right. Yep. They can
Yeah.
export it back.
Right.
Yep. You can download it right from the SolidWorks webpage. There's like a little utility that you can use alongside it and track all that information right in your pane and ship it back. You can control what they can edit, what they can't edit, and then send it right back to you.
That's another area where I don't know about you guys, but I kind of get the sense, like even me, I'm like, I don't know. There's so many resources out there, whether it's training or it's different utilities, like we're saying. It's almost hard to keep track of.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there's just stuff that's out there that we make.
Yeah.
But there's so many different use cases and different ways to get information.
Yeah.
That another area.
That one's a great one to know. As a platform user, you would be informing the person you're sending them to that they have access to it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that was our first episode of Delivery Day. Man, we're at the end.
Ooh, that wasn't even all of them.
It wasn't even all of them. So if you go to, it's great. Wow, you just pitched me out right there for the call to action. But no, if you go to solidworks.com/delivery, you will see the latest. That's basically a little short URL shortcut. Basically, we update it every time there's a new functional delivery, new FD, or as we say, service pack of SolidWorks with new features. So you check that out to get more information. And stay tuned, subscribe, like if you liked any of this, like Jesse. Probably didn't like me, but that's okay. But no,
I like you, Sean.
yeah. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. That's why I keep inviting you back.
Yeah,
man.
I was gonna say thanks for the invite. Though I mean, TB up.
No, but yeah. On a serious note, subscribe because we will continue to make these throughout the year. I think we have 4 more of these throughout the calendar year here, and
Just keep them coming.
yeah, 2025 new enhancements. We'll have different guests. Maybe we'll have you and someone else.
Maybe.
But once again,
determined.
okay, that's fine with me. I'll still come to help. I just won't be on camera. But thank you, Jesse. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thank
This
you
was
guys.
super fun.
Yeah, thank you guys for listening, for watching, and we will see you soon.